Alrighty, we are getting ready to roll today. So we're going to be talking about Major Hurricane Laura and what impacts it is going to bring. Just waiting for a couple of people to kind of come into the stream. Thank you guys for joining. Once again, I do appreciate that. We have a lot of things to talk about. So, hello. So first of all, Hurricane Laura, this is actually kind of an outdated graphic. So, sustained winds now of 140 miles per hour, moving towards the northwest at 16, a pressure down to 952 millibars. This is an extremely dangerous, life-threatening scenario for everybody that is involved in this. And again, I kind of want to reference the official graphics from now on, just so we're kind of on a clear and level playing field at this point in time, since this is a very significant and dangerous situation. Again, Hurricane Laura is a Category 4 at this point with sustained winds of 140 miles per hour. This is not something to be messing around with at all. So for anyone that is either listening or that you know that is still inland or that is still along the coast, especially in Louisiana near Lake Charles, obviously some of the areas across eastern Texas, basically, get them inland. You need to make sure that you are not along the coast, because this is going to be a very dangerous storm surge situation. Is it way on the path of west? What do you mean by that? Like, is it still heading west, or is it like, what's up with that? Now, I heard Weather Channel say that half the city didn't evacuate yet because they didn't want to ride it out. Yeah, just don't even bother riding this storm out, because this could become a Category 5 literally, and this kind of explains it here. That satellite imagery loop right here, this is not that far now, approaching from Louisiana coastline, which is right here. The Louisiana coastline is right there, and that is our tropical cyclone right there. So this is a very dangerous situation, and I urge everybody that is in the path to be taking this very seriously. The radar presentation here, again, is just kind of unreal. We have tornado warnings that are already going up here for near Lake Charles. There's a tornado warning right here, including Lake Arthur, and you can see we're going to put it here on the storm relative motion so we can kind of get a better understanding of that. There's your area of circulation right there, and this is all induced by the hurricane that is still out to the south and is just spinning in these outer feeder bands. And again, we've seen some buoys that have been in the path of this eye wall that have just gone completely, they've been wiped out. And these buoys are pretty strong, so that kind of gives you an understanding of how strong this really is. For storm surge, there's a very significant risk of up to 15 to 20 feet of storm surge, with isolated amounts getting closer to 25 inches of storm surge, especially near the Johnson Bayou in the Rockefeller Wildlife Refuge. Could see upwards of about 15 to 20 feet of storm surge. The Sabine Lake and Sabine Pass could see about 10 to 15 feet of storm surge. Look at the radar. Yeah, so here's the radar, and again, it is still it's making a little bit of wobbles here. So I think what you meant is kind of, it could be moving more due west. I think that's kind of what you meant. It is kind of wobbling a little bit, but it's staying generally on the National Hurricane Center track. And again, it's going to kind of wobble. It might kind of do something like this, where, it wobbles a little bit, and kind of you get this wobbling. Hurricanes don't necessarily travel on a, straight line, basically, but it is starting its kind of general west-northwest still, but it's not really expected to make that turn until about later tonight, and then it's going to come up right here along the border of Louisiana and Texas in this general vicinity. So we're going to really have to watch, and again, this would probably be making landfall later tonight. But again, this storm surge is going to be catastrophic and could penetrate even 30 miles inland. So this is a very dangerous situation that we're kind of looking at here. And again, All the way down to Galveston Bay in Port Bolivar could see some storm surge. Galveston Bay being about 2 to 4 feet of storm surge above normally dry ground, and 6 to 9 feet for near the Port Bolivar area, and then Freeport about 2 to 4 inches or 2 to 4 feet of storm surge. Morgan City down to the mouth of the Mississippi about 4 to 7 and 2 to 4 feet for Link Pontchartrain through Ocean Springs, Mississippi. And again, if you are along the landfall point, don't even think about riding it out. Just don't even think about doing it, because this is not something you want to mess with. And this is the drop sonde located from the, I think this is the Air Force, the Air Force reconnaissance aircraft that was in there. Hey, no problem, man, no problem. This is the Air Force reconnaissance plane that was in there. I want to direct your attention to this 137 knot here wind at the 940 level of the atmosphere. So this is about, a couple hundred feet up. This is roughly at about 5,000 feet up or so in the atmosphere. That's suggesting northeast winds at 137 knots. This is getting close here. Oh yes, I almost forgot to do that. Let's see. There you go. Now you should be a moderator. There you go. So northeast winds here at about 137 knots. That is nearing Category 5 intensity at about the 5,000 foot level, if I'm not mistaken, by the millibar level. At this rate, it could become a Category 5. Yeah, I mean, this still has about 10 hours, 15 to... it still has about 12 hours. The surface pressure, the very surface pressure indicated by recon was, let's see, 953. So 953 is the lowest minimum central pressure recorded by recon. That is a little bit scary, given the fact that this is still about 12 hours from landfall. That is very significant. 953 with Category 4 winds on the northeast eye wall. Gulfport here, thanks for the update. No problem. Gulfport, Mississippi, luckily will kind of be sparing the impacts from this. This will be mostly Louisiana and eastern Texas that kind of gets the impacts, but there could still be some water rise there in Mississippi. But landfall, what do you mean A4? You mean at 4 or what do you mean? I'm sorry. No, I think I know what you meant. Do you think this will become a Category 5? It's very possible. It is certainly very possible that this could become a Category 5 hurricane. And I don't want to hype this up. I don't want to hype anything up at all, because that's not me. But this is a very real chance that this could become a Category 5 hurricane. And this is an extremely dire situation. And I mean dire. When it hits land, a Category 4, yeah. So the Hurricane Center had it at 145 for the peak intensity. But here's the problem. The maximum sustained winds are already 140. Rita was a Cat 3 at landfall, hit the exact same place. Yeah, Laura's going to be a lot stronger. And I think it's going to cause a lot of storm surge problems as well. Storm surge values, again, 15 to 20 feet above normally dry ground. This is a problem. This is a very big problem, because this storm surge could penetrate about 30 miles inland, and especially along those, those very low-lying marsh areas. This could easily extend about 30, 35 miles inland from where this makes landfall for the storm surge values. So you think, even having 8 to 12 feet above normally dry ground, that's a huge problem. Very powerful storm, agree, Deadly. I can only pray. Exactly, man. I can only pray that everyone's taking this as seriously as I am, and the majority of other people are, because I'm telling you what, this has the chance to get very, very, very ugly very quick. And I don't usually say that. But you can see that eye is clearing out rapidly. There's mesovortices that are kind of dancing in this eye wall, and that's very suggestive, the fact of the matter that we have a fairly potent tropical cyclone right now And this also has the potential, these little mesovortices that they can kind of consolidate, almost like Hurricane Michael, Harvey, and Irma did. They can actually just strengthen the storm a lot further. Excuse me. So this is going to be a very big problem. Coastal flooding, yeah. Coastal flooding has already been off the charts, and I'm going to try to find some stuff here on Twitter if I can find it. There's also, this is from Eric Webb, but there's also yet another area to watch here in the Atlantic Basin, right near the Lesser Antilles and Puerto Rico and St. Croix. There's yet another area to watch. So, yeah. Could this undergo an eye wall replacement cycle? So, yes, it could be. This very well could undergo an eye wall replacement cycle. Real quickly, you notice some of these little plus signs in here. This is lightning in the eye wall, and this is suggestive of a very strong and powerful hurricane. You get these lightning strikes in an eye wall. That's the sign of rapid intensification continuing. Yeah. Mark Sudduth, he's down there right now setting up stuff near Lake Charles. And they got to watch because there's some squall lines coming in right now, that one of them that could produce a tornado. But this will come in here at about midnight or just shortly after that time. So this is a very dangerous situation that is for everybody right now. This is something that is not to mess around with. But with eye wall replacement cycles, there was a thought earlier that we had kind of a moat structure in an eye wall replacement cycle as possible. That was kind of this little area right here that maybe could have a secondary eye wall. But what's actually happened since then is we've seen a greater kind of consolidation. We don't have that moat, and this is kind of taking a page basically out of Irma's book, at a Hurricane Irma's book, and saying, no, I'm not doing eye wall replacement cycles. And if you remember how Irma went about things, it underwent an eye wall replacement cycle about 60 hours after the first sign of an eye wall replacement cycle was going to occur. So it kind of delayed that process, and I fear that if Laura does not undergo an eye wall replacement cycle, or the shear near the coast does not kind of stop intensification, this is going to be a real big problem for a lot of people. So this is going to be a big problem. This is going to be one of those situations that is going to cause life-threatening concerns. And again, this is going to make landfall somewhere tonight along the Louisiana-Texas border, very close to Lake Charles. So again, if you are living along the coastline, get out now. And I mean now. You do not have any time to wait for this to be, for anything else to occur. You need to get out now. It's stronger than Harvey. Was Harvey like 140? I think Harvey might have been like 140 or 145. I wasn't quite sure. I lived in Florida, went back to hurricanes. This one comes up. Yeah, I mean, and it's almost like Katrina and then Rita right back to back. Luckily we don't have another major hurricane right back to back, but this is going to be bad. Michael explicitly intensified in the face of 20-knot shear. It really kind of amazes me how these tropical storms and hurricanes do that. The fact that this didn't even weaken over land was even more surprising when it went over Hispaniola and Cuba, which is, and this is what you get out of the end result of that. So, this kind of defied all the odds, but here we are, staring down what could be a Category 5 hurricane approaching land. Right now it's a Category 4. I'm going to move this forward, and I'm going to see if Recon has updated yet. But this could be a very bad storm. The trade-off with Harvey is moving faster, more storm surge versus Harvey. Yeah, Harvey, thank goodness, was moving slow enough that it didn't necessarily push a ton of storm surge, but it had some. But this is moving quick. It's, the forward speed kind of combined with the overall, the overall wind and everything else, just the overall energy is pushing that storm surge. And that's why we're going to have a fairly significant storm surge that is going to occur along and just east of where the center makes landfall. And even towards the west of where this makes landfall, all the way to Port Bolivar, that could see an upwards of 6 to 9 feet of storm surge, is a fairly significant problem. Could dry air weaken Laura? There is almost no dry air, man. There is... The only thing right now that could actually weaken Laura is an eyewall replacement cycle, or the little bit of shear that is along the Louisiana-Texas coastline could slowly limit the strengthening, but even that's questionable at this point because this thing is just, it's taken off. What do you think Laura will be by 5? I think it could be 155 miles an hour. I don't think it will be a Category 5, but if anyone is evacuating, that will be a very good use. So if anyone is evacuating, there's a hotel in Wharton, Texas. That is very good information. I would have woke up and said to myself, I'm going to lose my house today. Yeah. I mean, and I sympathize for the people down here because this is an extremely dangerous situation. And a lot of people right now, especially some areas near Lake Charles that are, in a lower income area and they can't afford to leave. I feel really bad for those people right now because this is about to get ugly. You're about to see, some of the worst damage that you have ever seen occur. And I don't say that lightly. Could the storm surge be higher than Katrina? Wasn't Katrina's storm surge what was Katrina's top storm surge? I wasn't quite sure, but it could be somewhere on the order close to there, which is not good. And I don't say that, and I don't... Okay, so 30 feet. Okay, never mind. 25 feet would probably... I'm saying... this is going to get close, because 15 to 20 feet of storm surge, that's almost as bad as 30 feet or 25 feet. You could see some amounts that get close, that are closer to 25 feet of storm surge in this area. This isn't going to be a Katrina replica, per se, especially because the area where it's making landfall, Katrina made landfall over here, and, we're seeing landfall over here near the Texas-Louisiana border, but we could easily see, 15 to 20 feet of storm surge with some amounts approaching 25 feet of storm surge. New Orleans is also below sea level. Yeah, that only exacerbates the matter that, that incredible storm surge. And again, people right along the coast, this is not something to be joking or taking lightly, because this is a very deadly situation. Almost half of our deaths in hurricanes come from storm surge and freshwater rainfall flooding, and less than half of it really comes from the wind damage aspect. So that really goes to put into perspective that this storm surge, even 4 to 7 feet, 7 feet is above almost every single person's head. So just kind of for example, and 15 to 20 feet of storm surge, don't even think about surviving that. Just don't. Do you think that it will be a tropical system when so it will be an extratropical cyclone, which means it's going to have some mid-latitude characteristics, or mostly all mid-latitude characteristics with it. It is probably not going to be a full-on tropical warm core system. So it could be an extratropical cyclone, but it will not be a warm core tropical cyclone, if that makes sense. Yeah, I'm certainly ready for this season to be over already. I'm certainly very, very ready for this to be over. What is the % chance you get to the eye of your west before landfall? Excuse me. Let me take a drink of water and I'll answer that question. So the percentage, the chance that it could kind of veer a little bit to the west is about a 50-50. Because the thing is that these kind of wobbles are a little bit harder to predict. And because these wobbles are more on a mesoscale feature than they are a bigger scale feature. So this has the potential to do some little bit of wobbles. It may come in a little bit over Texas. It may come over a little bit of Louisiana. It may come over both. It's kind of hard to say right now, but regardless, the impacts are going to be felt well away from where the center makes landfall. They're saying in the discussion that the models are leaning towards lower emerging back. Whoa, let me look at that. Let me look at that in their discussion because I didn't see that. Let's see. Lower is expected to turn northeast on Friday in the mid-latitude westerlies. But given the uncertainties... Okay, yeah, so here we go. After landfall, rapid weakening... The UK Met and Euro suggest that there will be some chance that Laura re-intensifies as a tropical cyclone off the mid-Atlantic coast, but given the uncertainties at this time range, the forecast continues to show it as a post-tropical. Okay, well, thank you for pointing that out because I did not see that in the discussion at the 11 o'clock advisory, so thank you very much for pointing that out. 50-50, that's high, yeah. Yeah, Cyclonic WX, that's from Alex Burham, I think that's how you pronounce it. He's in the group chat with me and a couple of other people on Twitter. And I occasionally talk to him. He's a pretty chill guy, but let me go on his website here and see if it loads, because sometimes it doesn't. I'm going to wait for that to load. Anyway, did not want that. So... Again, the pressures are about 953 millibars. That's rather significant. And that kind of really goes to show that this is going to be a bad situation. What will the system near South America do? So that is our system. Let me look at that. So that's our system right there. Right now approaching the Lesser Antilles. Now, it still has a little bit of a while to go. But it's going to have a chance to develop here near the Lesser Antilles. Now, it's still hard to determine whether around, like what is going to happen, but this could, and you can see here from Andy Hazelton and Eric Webb and these people that know what they are talking about, here, who know way better than me, this is going to be this is going to be something to watch again, so not really expecting much out of it right now, but we said the same thing with Laura, and we see what happened with Laura, so this has the potential to also become a tropical cyclone when conditions become slightly more favorable. Survived Charlie, wouldn't want to witness this one at all. And Charlie was here in 2004, and luckily I was not here in Florida in 2004. But I tell you what, if I came through Orlando as like a high-end Category 1, that would be something. So I heard there will be an hourly update on the Hurricane Center. The Hurricane Center typically does hourly updates when tropical cyclones are close to landfall, so I would not be surprised to see the Hurricane Center do an hourly update. Now, the hourly updates are only for position. They're like the intermittent advisories. They are pretty much like the intermittent advisories. They just update the track, or they just update the speed, the intensity, and your positioning. That's all they do for those 1 hour updates. They're pretty much the intermittent advisories, just done every hour. How is this high pressure affecting the storm? Well, it's kind of continuing it towards the west-northwest. When the next advisory comes out, do you think that the wind would have increased? Probably the wind will continue to increase. I mean, this is probably going to be intensifying right up until landfall, which is almost like what we saw identical to Hurricane Michael 2 years ago in October of 2018, when that kind of just really intensified up until landfall. And this is continuing rapid intensification, so it's continuing to strengthen all the way up until landfall, pretty much. At one point, weren't some people expecting Marco to be worse than Laura? Yeah, because, you know, a small tropical cyclone like Marco has the potential to rapidly intensify quicker because it doesn't take as much of the latent heat release potential in the atmosphere to strengthen, and it's just a more of a heat release process and other dynamical processes. Do you think Laura could become a Category 5? It is very possible that this does become a Category 5, and I don't take that lightly. I think the next advisory, 20 millibar. 20 millibars is going to be kind of a little bit hard to come by. That's pretty much on the verge of what you would call rapid intensification, because 24 hours or 20 miles per hour over a 24-hour or 20 millibar drop in 24 hours is classified as rapid intensification, I believe. So that's important. So they're doing another center pass right now through there. They found pressures of 966 millibars, and right now surface wind of about 105 knots, with their flight level winds approaching 115 to 120 knots on the southeast eye wall. I saw a visual with pretty high wind shear near the coast. Yeah, you know, there is some wind shear right near the coast. But this has the potential to get pretty ugly if the wind shear, and if there isn't an eye wall replacement cycle and that wind shear manages to get it, oh boy, could it get ugly. No, rapid intensification has increased in 30 knots in 24 hours. It's something close to there. The lowest pressure I've seen since I have actually tracked tropical cyclones was probably, I think it was Dorian or Irma or Maria, one of those three. There's been a lot of notable storms since I really started getting into tracking this. I think the lowest, though, I think was Wilma. I think. Not sure. If Laura becomes a Category 5, will be the 5th consecutive hurricane? Yeah, in a row. We're talking since what? 2017. We had 2017. We had a Category 5 slam into the U.S. British Virgin Islands and Antigua in those areas as a Category 5. Slammed into Cuba as a Cat 5. Then you had, obviously, in 2018, you had Hurricane Michael. In 19, you had Hurricane Dorian. My lord, you know, what more are we going on here these last couple of years? Pretty sure Wilma was 882. I think it was. And that's kind of remarkable. The strongest storm I've ever seen, I think was also Matthew. Yeah, Matthew, yeah, my bad. Matthew was also a Category 5. Maria, I think, was actually a very high-end Category 4, but I think it should have been a 5. How long would it take for the upper ocean heat content to get right back normal? It should probably take, since this is going to cause more of an upwelling, this should cause a period of about 3 to 4 weeks, maybe 5 weeks before this starts to get better and fully kind of recovers. So thankfully, we might have a little bit of time where we don't get a major hurricane in the Gulf, but I wouldn't rule anything out. I think Wilma was higher than 185 because, geez, 882 and Allen was 190 and 899. I think Wilma was, it very well could have been. You know, Dorian last year was almost 190. I had 185 mile per hour winds. And, you know, Dorian had gusts up to 220, which is insane. Maria was a Cat 5 with 175 sustained. Now, I'll have to go back and look at that because I know at the time that I was watching it, it was not a Category 5, but in the post-analysis, they might have bumped it up just like they did with Michael. So I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't a Category 5. Yeah, so they have, you know, and the Hurricane Center at 11 had the peak winds here at 145, and we are only 5 miles per hour from that peak, meaning this is probably going to be higher than 145 miles per hour for its peak intensity, because we still have about 12 hours before it makes landfall, which is concerning. We've already had 4 hurricanes and 1 major, yeah. And guess what, people? It's only August 26th. We have a long way to go, and I don't like that. You can see this eye is just now clearing out dramatically. The mesovortices inside this eye is apparent that this is going to strengthen significantly. How many times can a hurricane undergo rapid intensification? So that's a good question. So basically as many times as it wants to, or as the atmosphere favors, right? You get what you can get a storm like Dorian to rapidly intensify for 2 to 3 days, just like Dorian did. But as soon as it runs into a less favorable environment, that rapid intensification usually ceases. Now, in cases like Michael, where it was undergoing 20 knots of shear and still undergoing rapid intensification, that's kind of a different story. But this thing, this kind of really can kind of keep going as much as the atmosphere favors. Yeah, and Wilma, actually, it was a 5-day, Wilma was a 5-day event. And that's what is kind of, these storms can be so short fused, almost like Michael and Katrina, that it was so short fused like that. And, Katrina only lasted 5 days, which was crazy. Michael, they found 944. Wow. So we're really not that far off. Actually, no, I think Michael was a little bit lower than that. I think. Has it ever happened before that a hurricane with such high winds sat in one spot so long? I really haven't. I haven't seen a hurricane do something like Dorian did. In my lifetime, I have not seen that. Or at least in the time that I've been tracking tropical cyclones since really the beginning of 2016, I have not seen that. There's also a La Nina predicted for this fall, so we can continue to see activity well into November, honestly. Do you see this hurricane going through an eye wall replacement cycle like Irma? So with eye wall replacement cycles, it's a little bit hard to predict, but I'll kind of refer back to where we had it previously. Is that we almost had this like moat structure around this main eye wall, which is right here, and maybe some hints of a concentric eye wall indicating a second eye wall, but that has kind of since actually merged with the original eye wall. Now we might have another structure right now that's just a little bit of a moat, but it's a little bit hard to determine right now. So it is possible that we do get an eye wall replacement cycle, but right now it doesn't look like it's undergoing one. Could this become an annular? Yes. I mean, it almost looks like it's really trying to, because you notice that there's a lack of rain bands. I mean, there's some rain bands, but it's lacking a lot of those banding structures. And this is kind of almost reminiscent of trying to turn into an annular, like, truck tire hurricane. And that's kind of what you can see right here. This actually would slow down the weakening. We saw this with Hurricane Douglas as it was coming into Hawaii, a couple of months back, that it turned annular and it slowed down the weakening. Will this be retired? More than likely. More than likely. Laura went from Category 1 to high-end 3. Yeah, this thing was just insane. I woke up this morning and I did not think that this was going to be that strong. But that was crazy. 944 to... Whoa. If true, that is very significant. How strong do you think this could be? Well, this isn't going to stall. This is going to kind of keep moving. Whoa. Yeah, 945, 944. We've got a big problem. And I don't say that lightly. That's... Oof. I'm actually kind of speechless. That is a very significant hurricane right now. 945 millibars right now. Ow. Wow. So, yeah. So, what was the last pressure? I'm going to see what the last pressure was. I did not want to do that. Let me see what the last pressure was to kind of compare it. That was 953 to 945. I want to see the, so let's see, 953 minus 945. That's an 8 mile per hour drop in about the last 45 minutes or so. I'm going to wait to see what the drops on shows. But 945, and this still has a while to go until landfall, is making my stomach very uneasy. Very uneasy. For reference, that's what the hurricane hunters found. This is what the NOAA hurricane hunters, yeah, millibars. Sorry, not miles per hour. That's kind of my bad. But it's yeah, definitely not miles per hour. At the end, that Model H Wharf was right. You know what? It very well could be. So this is what Recon found when they left the NOAA 42 plane. When they left about an hour to 2 hours ago, they found 957. And now we've got pressures of about closer down to 945. So that's not good. So pressures of about 945. That was almost with a 0 mile per hour wind correction. So that is likely a fairly significant, that's probably an accurate thing. So Levi Cowan just said another 5 millibar drop since the last center pass about 80 minutes ago. So 80 minutes ago was the last center pass, and we have a, just ridiculous. So this thing is just tanking. Good afternoon, good afternoon. So we have pressures of legitimately 944 to 945 millibars and still falling at a very rapid pace, about 5 millibars in the last 80 minutes. And you can see how clear this ice structure has a while to go until landfall later this evening. This is going to be a very big problem. It's okay because 2 days ago at the 11 a.m. and or 5 o'clock, they set the pressure to 1,005 knots. Oof. Yeah, sometimes I kind of get caught up in my words here. 920-ish for Andrew, yeah. And, Andrew was very crazy storm. Let's see. How long can this go for? So this can really go for as long as until it makes landfall, or the environment continues to get or becomes unfavorable, which there is a sign that there is some higher shear amounts right up along the coast, which may halt intensification. But so far, these millibars are just dropping like a rock right now, and we're continuing to see this kind of just fall off a cliff. So, this could easily get down into the, mid 930s to low 930s, maybe upper 920s before all is said and done. Because if it continues to fall at about a 5 mile per hour rate, over about an hour, that is just absolutely insane. So we could easily see 920s, before it makes landfall. Yeah, I wasn't ready for that 944 pass either. That was crazy. Dorian. So because of the pandemic this year, the World Meteorological Association could not meet. And that's kind of how they meet to kind of basically retire storms and whatnot. But it will be retired. So don't worry about that. It definitely will be retired. Cat 3, 4, or 5, no joke, no good. Reminds me of Maria in Puerto Rico. Yeah, this reminds me of Dorian, Irma, Michael, Maria, you name it, and this is basically what you get. You give a hurricane a favorable environment with any time over the Gulf of Mexico, this is what you're going to get every single time. Could this become a Category 5? Yes. I mean, undoubtedly. But, even a Category 1 is bad, for that matter. Not even a Category 2. A Category 1. A tropical storm, even. And we saw that with Tropical Storm Imelda last year. I think that, it was 45 miles per hour, but dumped like 30 inches of rain in Texas. So, is there any intention of revising the categories? So, to revise it to a Category 6, I don't think so. However, there is intentions of revising the Saffir-Simpson scale to include the threats of storm surge and freshwater rainfall flooding. So I do know that there is intentions for that, but probably not a Category 6. I think, in my opinion, it would kind of just defeat the purpose to add a Category 6, because it's like, okay, once you get, above 150, 160 miles an hour, you're basically wiping everything clean anyway, so to be honest with you, a Category 6 would kind of just be, I think it would be kind of just a waste of a category, if I had to be honest with you. With all the technology, yeah, I really think they could have done a virtual meeting, but Lord God be with him, a big animal lover, and saddened by what will happen. My Andrew experience was surreal. Yeah, I mean, it was absolutely insane. And I wasn't even around. I wasn't born yet for Andrew. But just going back and reading all the documentaries about Andrew, it was crazy. Absolutely insane. And I saw some of the video that came from Andrew, and it was just heart-wrenching. How strong could this hurricane get? Is there a max? I mean, there is a theoretical max. There is a theoretical maximum, but it could become a Category 5 before landfall. Yes, there's a chance this could become a Category 5. Leaving animals behind should be a crime. I completely agree. I have a cat myself, and I would not... Give me 1 second, folks. Let me reply to something. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second, just typing something out real quick. Alright, let me see, let me get caught up here. I think the maximum winds stand at 175. I think this could probably be about 160 to 165. I don't think it has enough time to reach 170, 180, but you never say never in the tropics. The wild animals are smart and have already cleared the domesticated ones. I have a cat myself, man, and it's hard to leave, pets behind and stuff, it's just hard, and I could never do it, Personally, myself, I could not do that. But this is just concerning, downright concerning, that, this eye is clearing very rapidly, and we talked about how once this had a closed eye wall yesterday, it was going to start to take off. It took off, and now this is on its way probably to becoming a Category 5. And it's a heart-wrenching feeling that this could become one of those situations where you just, no, it's just crazy. Let's see. So their latest drop on the eye wall, 130. Whoa. So at the 955 level, these winds now are starting to get mixed down to the surface, because earlier this was at about the 945 level. This is now almost where it is at the surface. You can see that's the surface at 965, and this is in the eye wall. So at 954 millibars, you got south winds at 141 knots. And at the 955 level, you've got south winds at 137. These two are supportive of Category 5 intensity. Those are not at the surface, so keep in mind that those are not reaching the surface. But once they do reach the surface, this would likely then become a Category 5 hurricane. So this is probably on its way to becoming a Cat 5. Yeah, the 5 o'clock advisory should be upgraded to about 150 and about 9:44. So we're just skipping. No, this is a Category 4 right now. So the storm has officially been designated a Category 4 as of the 2 o'clock intermittent advisory about almost an hour ago now. Why no turn? So there is a little bit of a turn occurring now. You can see that it's moving west-northwest. It's still moving a little bit. It's got a west component to it, but it's moving towards the north, basically northwest now. So it is still, it's not turning completely yet, but by tonight, because again, this is expected to make landfall right here along the border of Louisiana and Texas. So there is a chance that it could wobble maybe a little bit more left, maybe a little bit more right, but the general landfall position should be somewhere in here. Notice also we have a ton of tornado warnings coming up in these outer bands now, so that's very important to note as well. With global warming, these sea surface temperatures should be going up by the decades. Temperatures, yeah, I mean, some of this, some of this is just going to just be insane. And over the next few years, it's going to be very interesting to see how these water temperatures reflect on tropical storms and hurricanes. Pretty sure they do updates every hour. Yeah, I'm thinking that they're probably going to start doing the hourly updates soon. My radar is showing that a UC, United States Air Force, going through the eye. Yeah, so I do have an idea of why planes fly through hurricanes. So the planes fly through hurricanes to gather the data on the pressure and basically the wind speed and where the storm is going. And you can't necessarily get that data anywhere else. Sure, we have satellite data, satellite-derived data, but most of our better data comes from Air Force reconnaissance and NOAA reconnaissance aircraft that fly into the hurricane itself and collect the data. And without them, this would really be harder to do. Why a C-130? So it's a WC-130J by the Air Force Reserves. And that's just the plane that they picked to fly into hurricanes. It has a very nice, airframe to it, very aerodynamically capable. Its flight dynamics are pretty good. Its takeoff power, its landing power, and just it was built basically to fly into the war zones. Over in Iraq and Afghanistan. So it's built to handle stuff like this, and that's why they fly into hurricanes, because it's built to survive very rugged conditions. Pressure is 948 with 140. Yeah, they need to buy better models. Yeah, sometimes, the models are... I know the Lockheed... so the Lockheed P3 Orion aircraft is also another aircraft that was designed for the Navy to go sub-hunting, basically, for those Russian spy boats and stuff like that back in the day during the height of the Cold War. And that's why, again, the Lockheed, P3 Orion was designed to be in sea salt spray and everything else, and it was really designed to handle a very rugged environment again. So it's almost like the C-130s and the Lockheed P3 Orions. The flight dynamics are very capable of flying into these hurricanes. So that is why they fly those. And specifically why they fly the turboprops, and just to kind of go off on a quick tangent about that. These hold on one second. How many miles in the center? It looks to be large, so we can actually measure that right now. So we're going to drop a little bit of a dot right there. So measuring that is about a 24 nautical mile eye. So that's a pretty large eye. The drop zone did confirm pressure is about, whoa, jeez. Dude, this is just dropping like a rock at this point. Like, I don't even want to know what it's going to be by the time landfall is tonight. My lord. I don't want this to be a Cat 5, but Jesus, like, this thing is just taking off. Do you think Dorian was a definite definite signal of an opening into a new magnitude and dimensions in terms of catastrophic weather systems? So here's the thing. I mean, you know, we've seen stuff like Dorian, Harvey, Rita, Wilma, Katrina, even back in the 2000s. So, you know, it could be, but me, myself, I'm not necessarily a climate expert, more as I know weather than I do more so climate. Of course, you know, I have to know some climate too, but I do think that it could be kind of leaning in towards, you know, climate change and everything else. Regardless of what anyone's views are on climate change, it is real and it's happening. To what degree, we still don't necessarily know yet, but how large? So Katrina was actually pretty large. I think it was a little bit larger than we're dealing with here with Laura. But Laura's getting pretty big too. I think it's almost about 570 miles wide. So the track of the storm reminds me of the Great Galveston. Yeah. You know, and luckily, this isn't going to come into Galveston, but it is still going to produce some storm surge for Galveston and surrounding vicinity. I literally started sleeping when Laura was at 90 at the 11 o'clock, woke up and Laura was 100. Yeah, Laura just rapidly intensified. It went off like a bomb, basically, and now it's here. So, to answer America Amtrak Rail fans' comment here, that the NOAA Learjet, so it's a Gulfstream 4 aircraft that flies above these tropical storms and hurricanes, and what their mission is, their mission is to basically get data around the storm environment to sample like the strength of the high pressure, the troughs, you know, the shears, stuff like that. So, and that's why they're up so high. I would like to see, yeah, well, I mean, technically you are seeing what it is from space. I mean, the visible satellite imagery, this is basically from satellite from space. But I would really like to see this from the International Space Station. That would be pretty cool. I wouldn't doubt this thing could just keep so it's not necessarily heading due west. It's heading more on a northwesterly track right now. And we can kind of put the radar on here to kind of see that it's not moving due directly west. A due west movement would be something almost like that. That's more of a due westerly motion. The storm is heading almost due northwest right now, and that's the official motion. And the aircraft reconnaissance plane noted that too, that it's moving northwest. So that's the new center right in through here. That's the new center fix, the old center fix. So it's moving more of a northwesterly fashion right now. Yeah, do you think Laura could become a minimal Category 5? Yes, it certainly very well could become a minimal Cat 5. Absolutely. Is this going to be a regular for the remainder? Well, we're not going to have, you know, major hurricanes left and right every single time. But we are going to have something that's very interesting. So from Andy Hazelton, it looks like the Air Force extrapolated pressure is about 3 millibars higher than the drop sounds consistently. So the true pressure accounting for wind is about 948 millibars, which is a 5 millibar drop since the last pass. So that's concerning, to say the very least. Yeah, so, you know, and they could be flying at anywhere about, you know, they could be, you know, really flying anywhere from about, you know, 50 to 60,000 feet or so. Pressure near Morgan City is about 1,009.5 currently. They are receiving the most outer bands. Yeah, so, you know, and this is just going, it's only going to be dropping further out throughout the day. We have, we do have a confirmed tornado on the ground right now. It just passed through basically Naplesonville. Basically on this line of storms right here. And that's going to be moving all the way up here. You can see even Texas, man. You know, you're getting impacts well into Texas with tornado warnings there. And conditions are only going to deteriorate as time goes on. Can you tell if it's moving more west or northwest, as it won't be exactly 45 degrees? So I'm mainly just going on based on radar and dropson and basically where the center fixes are from recon, which confirms that this is kind of continuing on a northwesterly trajectory. The C-130 turned around, it's heading back for the eye. Yeah, and they're going to continue to kind of fly through, and I'm actually going to check here on my flight tracking app here. Give me 1 second to kind of load that. Yep, so they're turning back around now. They're going to go for another penetration pass of the eye wall. They're going to probably fly on the south quadrant for a while, and probably then kind of come back and through here. Or they, that's probably what they're going to likely do, and then come back through the eye wall there. The millibar right now is about 950. So the millibar is about 948 to 950 millibars. So this is continuing to rapidly intensify further. So this is a very dangerous situation. For some reason, I have the Roger Hutchinson. Yeah, literally, the eye of the storm, literally. Oh, that's what it's going to be here in a couple of very short hours. Is Recon taking video? Yeah, I mean, they probably have GoPros, you know, inside the cockpit that will probably be released later, and everything. Do you think there will be more of an increase in activity due to the current? Yes. The current Madden-Julian oscillation phase is going to increase activity, and right on cue of your question basically is there's another tropical wave coming off of Africa that is has a 20% chance of development over the next 5 days. Thank you very much, George. Thank you very much. This is going to be catastrophic, absolutely. You know, and I don't really like to say the word catastrophic and everything, like, you know, just out of the blue. This is going to be a very significant possibility, and this is, you know, that eye wall is strengthening fairly rapidly now. So, by the way, folks, we are going to go ahead and if you guys have any questions, go ahead and ask. I tried to do a little bit of a live stream. Unfortunately, going to have to go ahead and wrap it up within the next about 20 minutes because I have to go places. Well, here's their update statement. The 2 o'clock position, 948 millibars northwest at 16, and a wind of 140. So 948 millibars, that is the confirmed pressure. An eye wall replacement cycle is probably not going to happen right now at this particular time. There's no indications, and I'm going to check the recon plane just to make sure there wasn't any indications of a double wind maximum, which there might have been. Yeah. So there is some like double wind maximums, but I'm not really thinking right now that we're going to have an eye wall replacement cycle. Do you think Laura will affect New Orleans? It is going to affect there, but it isn't going to be, you're not going to get, obviously, in the eye wall or anything, but you will get some rain, maybe some gusty winds, but probably not going to see even tropical storm force winds there. But you could see some of those in gusts, but not sustained winds at all. So that wave skirts just north of the Dominican Republic and Cuba. It could be, yep, it could be. And those water temperatures out there are still warm. Still warm. So that's going to be a problem going forward. They're still fairly warm and not tapped at all. So that's going to be a big problem. So if you guys have any more questions, go ahead and feel free to ask. Again, we're going to try to wrap it up here in about 15 minutes or so. So that way I can go ahead and go places. So the storm officially is expected to be a Category 4, a high-end Category 4 upon landfall, but it could be a Category 5. That isn't a double wind maximum, I think. I suppose by looking at the map, that was a transition from eyewall to eye to eyewall. Well, what I mean is this area, not right here, not looking at this big drop. Obviously, that's the eyewall. My focus right here is right here. This sharp wind maximum here, a decrease, and another wind maximum there. And then obviously that's the eye. And then you had maybe indications of another one out here. So that's kind of what I was talking about. This could be worse than Rita, to be quite honest with you. This is going to be stronger than Rita. And this is going to be pushing a lot of storm surge in. Do you think the tropical wave will affect Florida? It is way too soon to know if it's going to affect the United States or not. It's way too soon. You know, one of the things that, you know, we're going to really have to watch is every single tropical wave that comes off of Africa now. Given that we are in a favorable Madden-Julian oscillation phase, and I'll kind of briefly pull this up from Michael Ventress's page here. We'll pull this Madden-Julian phase up. And, you know, you can see that, you know, we still have a couple of you know, we still have about 2 weeks of a very favorable phase. And then finally, we're going to maybe get a suppressed phase to pass through before another active phase kind of kicks off. But you can see this active phase is going to stay over Africa. So that's another big problem, that this is going to light up Africa as we kind of go throughout time. I'm going to get off. Is there another live stream today? Yep, there will be, more than likely. As long as I don't have to go into work super early tomorrow, there will be another live stream tonight. Yep, for sure. As long as I don't have to go into work early. If I do, as soon as I get home, I'll make a quick video update and then, you know, kind of let everybody know. So, if I do have to go into work early tomorrow. But if not, there will definitely be another live stream. So, thank you for kind of tuning in. That is greatly appreciated. And as always, I thank everybody for tuning in. What's your job? So I actually work at a fast food restaurant right now. My second day was yesterday, so I actually had today off, so that's good. Had today off, so I had some time to chill. And I won't know my actual schedule up until basically next week when I officially get on the schedule, because I'm still training right now. Hopefully no one dies. Yeah, hopefully not, but you know, this is one of those situations where there's going to be a big problem, and I strongly feel that. Been watching your videos for all the hurricane season so far, and I really appreciate your info. Very well informed, and good luck on your meteorology studies. Thank you very much. Thank you. That is certainly very nice and kind of you, ma'am. Wind velocities, yep, here they are. So right before they kind of dialysised over, you're getting about 149 in the northwest eye wall, and about 89, 90 to 100 on the southern eye wall. This is going to be a long evening, that's for sure. U.S. damage, I mean, right now, you know, this could be one of those things like $1 billion disaster, maybe. You know, at least in the millions, that's for sure. At least in the millions. Also, I'm starting a job to a pizza place here soon in like a week. Good luck with that, man. Seriously, good luck with that. Is there a chance Laura could get to a Category 5? Absolutely. This storm, it really wouldn't take much now to get it to be a Cat 5. So, landfall is expected to be shortly after midnight, which is going to be one of the most dangerous things. You get a landfalling hurricane, It's going to intensify all the way up until landfall, more than likely, and it's going to be at midnight. This has the potential to be a very catastrophic event. So that's one thing I am not looking forward to. So, this is going to be one of those scenarios that could be really, really ugly, really quick. And that eye is clearing out faster than anything. The IR satellite presentation is absolutely crazy. More deep convection trying to fire, rotate around. Of course, no problem, Harrison. You know, really, really just an incredible hurricane right now. Some convective bands already affecting Louisiana, producing tornadoes. This definitely has a chance to become a Category 5. Yeah, catastrophic and overnight. The overnight concern is one of the biggest things that is really concerning. We saw that with, we saw this with multiple storms in the past. Harvey, I think, made landfall as it was approaching evening time, but an overnight hurricane making landfall is just bad. Absolutely. Yeah, this could be, Michael, how are you using satellite like you're doing right now? So this is actually called a program called AWIPS, and I'll show you. If you guys want to go download the program that I'm using for the satellite imagery, it's AWIPS right here. You just search AWIPS, and it is right here, the Unidata site. And give me 1 second. So, and you just basically go down here to AWIPS and download for whatever, download for whatever operating system you have. The radius of the eye is roughly about 25 miles. Is there going to be any shear? Yes, there will be. There will be some. Why it's bad you can't see much exactly. So, with that being said, I am going to go ahead and kind of jump off for right now. And I will be back later this evening. If I've got to work early tomorrow morning, what I'll end up doing is I will end up just doing a quick video update, letting everyone know kind of what's going on, and I'll tell everybody. And then if not, I will be doing another live stream later this evening. All right. That being said, thank you all for tuning in. I know I'm kind of cutting off a little bit earlier than I wanted to, but thank you all for watching. I greatly appreciate your support. If you want to go follow me, my Twitter is at MikeRamali1. Make sure to go follow me there. I'll be posting consistent updates as time goes on. Thank you all for your continued support. I am Michael Ramali. I'll talk to you guys some more later today. Thank you for watching.